document that gave the power to Congress to propose amendments if they deemed them necessary, but we didn't give the power to the people acting through the states. And then he asked a question which resonates across the ages, which is, are we so naive to believe that a government that becomes a tyranny will propose amendments to restrain its own tyranny? We know the answer. We saw Madison's notes. They say nin com, which is Latin abbreviation for no comment. Nobody debates it. Nobody stands against it. Nobody raises their hand and objects. And we know that that clause, the second clause of Article 5, gets inserted into the Constitution unanimously. No debate, unanimous insertion. And because of that event, September 15th, 1787, because of that man, a great friend of the United States of America, an anti-federalist, by the way, they were right. Anti-federalist, he stood up, he made that objection. He said the thing in the moment, I believe, inspired by God, that has all of you in this room today, literally, all of us, personally, connected to our good friend and somebody I want to introduce you to right now, Colonel George Mason. Great honor, Colonel Mason.
Thank you, sir.
For being here.
Thank you. Well, if you're expecting the gold of oratory or the silver of rhetoric, prepare to be disappointed. For such silver and gold have I none. I am no Patrick Henry. But what I do have I give unto thee, which is reason and principle. Chief among them being that all men are by nature equally free and independent and possess certain inherent rights. And secondly, that all power was originally lodged in and consequently is derived from the people. These principles, coherent with our Holy Scriptures, implicit in the Magna Carta, inherent in the English Bill of Rights of 1689, and thoroughly explicated in philosophy by men such as John Locke and others, are so manifest to reason that, as Mr. Jefferson so eloquently stated it in our Declaration, we hold them to be self-evident. Now, I know that I have acquired the name and reputation of an anti-federalist. It is not an appellation that I willingly sought. I would much rather be known for what I am for, which is liberty, rather than what I am against. Nevertheless, I do not deny that I am adamantly opposed to the Federalists' vision for our constitutional republic. Not that I am opposed to the Constitution, but that I believe under their construction it affords insufficient safeguards against the very yoke of tyranny which we threw off our necks with much expense of money, time, hardship, and blood. It was never my intent to cast myself as an opponent of a national constitution as I have been slanderously accused, nor against men who are my friends, with whom I ardently strove for our dear independence. How then did we come to such loggerheads? If you will permit me, I will offer a brief recitation of the circumstances that brought us to this place. Year 1776 was momentous, not only for the founding of the United States, but many forget for the founding of the states themselves, which had to resurrect new governments out of the collapsed rubble of the old colonial ones. I was charged with framing the government for Virginia, and in spite of my failing health, my innate distaste for politics and the public life, I accepted the charge because of the necessity of the time. If you will give me leave, I will continue from the chair. Long have I been afflicted with the gout. It is the messenger of Satan sent to buffet me. I consider myself a pleasant gentleman, but I do confess that when my malady flares up, it might tend to make me irascible. I pray you forbear. As I was saying, I accepted the charge, and I confined myself to a room in the Raleigh Inn there in Williamsburg, and I set to work. But before I wrote a single word concerning the structure of government, I set forth first the most necessary document for any government of a free people, which is a Declaration of Rights. containing not only the principles for our government, but more importantly, enumerating several rights of persons, including the right of the people to reform, alter, or abolish their government, the right to a free and independent press, an indispensable bulwark of liberty, the right of the accused to due process of law, the right to the free exercise of religion according to one's own conscience. It should be noted that the stronger wording of this latter article, young Mr. Madison had a hand in that. I had originally penned one concerning religious toleration, but Madison objected that toleration speaks merely of a concession, but religious liberty is a right. And his point is well taken. Other amendments were perhaps not so felicitous, but in substance the document passed after far too much debate. And other states began to use that as a pattern for their own declarations of rights. And then we went on to pass a constitution for Virginia, which overall I was pleased with the result. In retrospect, I think there was one glaring fault, and that is that we failed to impart to it a means to amend it. But in 1776, we had very little time to nitpick. Every moment then and thereafter was perilous, even unto the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783. When I finally felt free to return once and for all to Gunston Hall, there to mind my business, enjoy my children, and nurse my many infirmities. But in 1787, that spring, I was called back into public service, being elected to the Virginia delegation to amend the Articles of Confederation. And we all knew that we were actually going to replace it. And to the surprise of many, I did not decline the appointment, for I believed, as I wrote to my son George, that the revolt against Great Britain was nothing compared to the great business which now lay before us. Philadelphia, furthest I'd ever been from my home. First time I'd ever truly left Virginia. I enjoyed seeing the sights, Independence Hall, all of these things. At last meeting Dr. Franklin, oh yes. But I quickly grew weary of all of the etiquette and nonsense so prevalent in that, so fashionable in that city. But I was heartened by the caliber of those who attended the convention, so far above the usual run-of-the-mill politician. I truly did feel that all the hopes of the Union were centered in this convention. But it was very nearly exploded. Our very first controversy right out of the gate was trying to reconcile the interests of the larger states with those of the less populous ones, and it was a sore test. I lie not. Had we failed to find common ground on this issue, the entire convention would have collapsed and dissolved before it even got started. Dr. Franklin and I united to lead a committee which hammered out what became known as the Great Compromise, the bicameral legislature with a lower chamber elected according to population and an upper one with equal representation for the states. And it passed. And then we could get on to debate every other issue, and debate we did. I was keenly interested, as Mr. Mecklin mentioned a moment ago, in the amendment process. Almost all of my colleagues felt no qualms with letting Congress be the sole proponent of all amendments. But I insisted that there must be an alternative path. And so we did impart to our Constitution in Article 5 a provision for a convention of states, for I feel that there will come a day when we will need to wrest our government from the vested interests of tenured power. For in politics, tenure is power, my friends, and power is an intoxicating temptation, even for a good man, let alone for the mediocre souls who so often inhabit that occupation. On other issues, I was less successful in debate. slavery, the power of the Senate, the issue of term limits. Most distressing of all was the failure of the convention. No, not the failure, the refusal to impart to the Constitution a Declaration of Rights. Oh, it vexed me to see such intelligent men be so short-sighted. On this issue, I could not compromise. But in September, the document came up for a vote, all members signing who were present, save 3, Governor Randolph, Elbridge Gerry, and me. And then the debate for ratification raged, and you know. Hamilton, Madison, and Jay wrote their pamphlets, I wrote mine, and their side prevailed. The Constitution was ratified. During this time, my friendship of many years with General Washington greatly cooled. Oft have I been a guest at Mount Vernon, and we have exchanged many, many hours of conversation, of exchange of ideas, of warm fellowship. I have not been invited to his home, nor have we spoken since the convention. So be it. He has his convictions and his mission in life, and I have mine. Let it be known that I have never objected to Washington, the man, being elected to the executive office. No more worthy a man can be found in the world. As for me, well, I was greatly encouraged and indeed mostly satisfied with the Bill of Rights that of late has been added to our Constitution by amendment. If only we had done it in Philadelphia, so much discomfiture could have been avoided. Hold tight to those rights, my friends, for politicians do not need the title of king to grasp for kingly power. But if worse comes to worst, we still have recourse to a convention of states, have we not? I think I'm going to go for coffee. You're welcome to join me. All us patriots quit tea in '74, you know. Thank you, Colonel.
Colonel George Mason.